Welcome to the Alaska Weather Show. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service on this Friday, April 1st, 2022. And we do this each day, thank you, through a unique partnership with Alaska Public Media. And if you would like additional weather information, you can always go to weather.gov. Online, it's a point-and-click map. You'll see a map of the continental U.S., and off to the lower left is Hawaii and Alaska. And you click anywhere on these maps, and it'll bring up forecasts, watches, warnings, all sorts of other interesting information. You can also get some radar information, air quality, satellite imagery, and some past weather information as well. Looking at the map this afternoon across the continental U.S., we do have some frost advisories and freeze warnings for portions of Kentucky, Tennessee, into North Carolina. Red flag warnings there across southern parts of Texas, and winter storm watches in through the Cascade Mountains there of the Pacific Northwest in Oregon and Washington State. Well, we do have a chance of some more minor geomagnetic storms here over the weekend, which could lead to some additional enhanced aurora displays. So if you live in an area with clear skies, you may want to take a look at that, not just this Friday night, but again Saturday and Sunday night, as we have a couple of more solar disturbances that'll be arriving here and blasting our upper atmosphere and affecting the geomagnetic field. All week long up in the northwest, there have been ground blizzard conditions, but those should begin to relax late tonight and during the day on Saturday. We're going to see low pressure come up into the Gulf with gale force low that brings some moderate rains, especially the southern panhandle later Saturday and into Sunday. And then we'll take a look at the 30-day outlook for April, which when I show you the 6 to 10-day outlook, it's going to indicate we are looking at a cool start and certainly a delayed warm-up to what we might see for warmer spring temperatures. But again, tonight, if you're interested in aurora viewing, it's new moon on April 1st, so we have good and dark skies. We expect minor G1 class geomagnetic storms over the weekend, which could lead to some more active auroral displays at times. So the best thing to do is just to get out and take a look at it, because not much longer. Certainly in about another few weeks or so, we're going to be gaining too much daylight that we won't be able to really view the aurora again until the latter portion of August. And in the meantime, if you are thinking about heading out tonight, clear skies, the areas that are blue there, especially north of the Alaska Range along and north of the Yukon River, including the Seward Peninsula, have the best chance of seeing clear skies. There will be some pockets of clearing across the southern part of the state, but kind of tough to pinpoint those at this time because it's just the nature of that when we have moisture that is pulled inland a bit from the Gulf. As far as current advisories and warnings, there are wind advisories for central and eastern parts of the interior. Fort Yukon area, Yukon Flats until 6 p.m. That could be extended a little later into this Friday evening. Otherwise, the Bettles area there, that'll be in effect until at least 6 a.m. Saturday, in the Tanana, Nanana area until noonish on Saturday. So we expect some wind gusts as high as 40 to near 50 miles an hour in some of the hillier locations. And then the blizzard warning, the ground blizzard conditions there along the northwest Arctic coast, the blizzard warning is in effect until midnight this Friday night. But we do anticipate conditions, winds to begin to come down a bit, not be as strong as they have been much of this past week as we go into the day on Saturday. And looking at those conditions, ground blizzard there, Wainwright still as of mid-afternoon around 2 o'clock or so with a temperature of 6 below zero. Winds were gusting over 30 miles an hour. And then out toward the east, toward the Alcan border, Eagle. Clear skies this morning, had the state's low of 25 below zero. This mid-afternoon, beautiful blue skies in Eagle with a temperature just 11 degrees. And then going down toward Kodiak Island, you've had an area of low pressure pass through your area. It's now tracking westward toward the southeast corner of the Bering. and it's brought with it rain. Now kind of become more scattered light showers, 40 degrees as of mid-afternoon. Heidelberg in the southern panhandle has overcast skies, some light sprinkles with a temperature of 43, but you're going to see another round of some moderate rain, especially as we get into late Saturday afternoon and Saturday night, continuing into early Sunday, perhaps an inch to inch and a half of rainfall, along with some gustier winds as gale force low moves out into the Gulf. Here's the extended temperature outlook, 30-day outlook for the month of April. And it is indicating temperatures may average below normal a bit across the southern third of the state, including the Panhandle, with widespread near normal temperatures through the interior along the Yukon River, and perhaps slightly above normal temperatures there in the northwest. But it is looking like we're going to see a cooler start, and precipitation overall should average near normal for much of the state, a little above normal possible the southern half of the Panhandle, as well as up there along northwest areas, including the Seward Peninsula. And looking at satellite imagery, we can see that low curl in the clouds working its way across Kodiak Island, pushing slowly westward across the northern portion of the Alaska Peninsula. We have a big high sitting up in the Arctic Ocean, keeping those east winds going along the Arctic and northwest coast. That'll begin, that pressure gradient will begin to break down, but still some gusty winds across the central eastern interior along the Yukon River. And we can see the low pressure this afternoon is working its way across the Alaska Peninsula. The blowing, drifting snow there along the Arctic and especially northwest coast, and then a weakening occluded front as it bumps up there along the Gulf Coast with some showers, mainly rain showers along the coast. But that area of next low pressure coming out of the North Pacific will deepen to around 980 millibars as we go into Saturday. And that'll become the next main feature that spreads some of that moderate rainfall, especially into the southern half of the Panhandle as we go through later Saturday afternoon and into Saturday night. The old low, the one that was crossing the northern part of the Alaska Peninsula, will be sitting south of Nunavik Island off the coast there of the lower Kuskokwim Delta and weakening. But a broad, elongated area of low pressure will generally exist from the Gulf back through at least the eastern portion of the Bering Sea. And by Sunday, we do anticipate low pressure there, kind of couple of systems sitting out there in the Gulf, keeping rain or showers there going along coastal areas. And back toward the west, a little cooler air will allow the precipitation, especially in the mountains, to continue to fall as snow. There could even be a few very light snow showers or flurries making all the way up into the interior along the Yukon River. Low temperatures for Saturday morning will be down below freezing, especially as we get from around Kenai, Anchorage northward. However, holding above freezing along the coast and especially through the Panhandle. Afternoon highs could once again get back up in the lower mid-40s, many areas throughout the Panhandle, as well as southern coastal and even interior areas, including Anchorage and Talkeetna. There at 43. And then lows Sunday morning, coolest up there through the Copper River Basin, teens, 10 above at McGrath. Otherwise below freezing anticipated south central, but generally above freezing across the length of the Panhandle. And Sunday afternoon highs should manage to get back up at least into the lower 40s, Talkeetna, Anchorage off to the south and east through the Panhandle and down there, Kodiak at 41. Coldest temperatures over the weekend will reside across the North Slope and Arctic coast. We'll see teens and some 20s below zero. At least, though, some of the winds will still be breezy, but not as windy as it was here this past week. Daytime highs, single digits below zero, the North Slope and Arctic coast, cooling down a bit into the teens to near 20 through the middle and eastern Yukon Valley, north of Fairbanks there through the Yukon Flats. Sunday morning lows will get down into the teens to near 20 below there, North Slope. And then for Sunday afternoon, we expect temperatures. Few areas just north of the Alaska Range could be around the freezing mark, but otherwise generally teens and 20s there through the Yukon River Valley. And for Saturday morning, interior lows will be down into the teens of the southwest, but generally holding near or freezing there across the Alaska Peninsula into the Aleutians. And temperatures Saturday afternoon should get back up around 40 or so, Dillingham, King Salmon, Kodiak, and areas like even Dutch Harbor. But then Sunday morning lows should come up slightly into the lower 20s there at Antioch as well as at Bethel. And we are anticipating Sunday afternoon temperatures may be slightly cooler, but still near or a bit above freezing there through the southwest interior on the west side of the Alaska Range. And a quick check of temperature outlook This is the 6 to 10 day outlook for April 7th through the 11th. Notice below normal temperatures anticipated for the whole state. We're going to start off the first full week there of April on a cooler note. And we expect the coolest readings to be there in through the southwest, which in recent weeks has been the warm spot. And we anticipate precipitation could average a little bit above normal in the eastern interior, centered on Fairbanks, with otherwise areas near slightly above normal anticipated. So again, this weekend, if you have a chance to get out, perhaps take a look where skies are clear. You may be able to once again see the northern lights.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Well, it's now time for aviation weather, and if you're a pilot looking to get out this Saturday or Sunday, we are going to start out low pressure. Well, we have one area that's kind of past this Friday. It's going to work its way across the northern half of the Alaska Peninsula into the southeast corner of the Bering, well off the southwest coast and north of the Alaska Peninsula by Saturday. We'll still see areas of IFR conditions extending from the coastal mountains, the intercoastal mountains of the Panhandle along north central Gulf, and then back across the Alaska Peninsula on up through the central Bering, St. Paul, and St. Matthew. Also an area of IFR conditions along the northwest Arctic coast Saturday morning. And as we go into Saturday afternoon, look for the IFR conditions along the Gulf Coast to relax a bit more toward MVFR conditions. Also, we're going to see some winds across the interior, especially areas along and south of the Brooks Range where there could be turbulence. We'll also see areas of turbulence down along the Gulf Coast, as yet another low is going to be lifting out of the North Pacific up into the central Gulf, especially later Saturday and into Sunday. That's going to spread more moisture up into portions of the Panhandle over the weekend. And on Sunday morning, we'll still see some pockets of IFR along areas of the Panhandle in the interior there. Also the southwest and up there along the northwest coast. And Sunday afternoon, still anticipate some areas of IFR, especially along the intercoastal mountains of the Panhandle and lingering up there along the northwest coast around Point Lay, Point Hope. And looking at pass conditions, Anaktuvik Pass as well as Adigan Pass should generally see VFR conditions hold throughout Saturday. And further south and west, Lake Clark and Merrill, especially on the east side of the Alaska Range, we'll see IFR conditions at least initially Saturday morning, giving way to MVFR conditions Saturday afternoon. Same thing, Rainy Pass will see IFR conditions, especially toward the east entrance, giving way to MVFR conditions. And as we go up around the central Alaska Range, Windy Pass will also start out with some IFR conditions, especially in the south entrance, giving way to MVFR conditions, and that'll also be the case there at Isabel, south and west of Isabel, initially IFR conditions Saturday morning, giving way to MVFR conditions. And Mentasta will be in a little drier conditions with MVFR conditions giving way to VFR conditions Saturday afternoon. And right now it looks like Tenedo should generally hold on to MVFR conditions on Saturday. Portage Pass will see IFR conditions in the morning, especially along the east entrance areas there around Prince William Sound, but overall the pass giving way to MVFR conditions with even some VFR conditions possible there by afternoon at the west entrance. And Chilkoot and White should generally hold on to IFR conditions there in the far north end of the Panhandle for Saturday. Quick check of freezing levels. The surface freezing line runs along the inner channels there of the Panhandle to the northern Gulf Coast, along Shelikof Strait across the Alaska Peninsula and back up out into central areas of the Bering Sea. And the greatest potential for some icing on Saturday will come later in the day, afternoon, early evening, between 4,000 and 12,000 feet. The outer southwestern portion of the Panhandle, including Haida Gwaii, as we expect the next surge of moisture coming inland there with that low pressure that will be situated up over the lower central Gulf. And then a check of the upper level jet stream winds. Strongest winds will be running well south of the Alaska Peninsula and Aleutian Chain. We have a jet core that'll be in excess of 150 knots once you get further south beyond the view of your screen. At mid-levels 9,000 feet, we have kind of a trough or trail of low pressure. The strongest low out over the lower central Gulf Saturday afternoon, extending back northwestward all the way toward the coast of Kamchatka there. And then for Saturday, 3,000 foot level winds, the strongest circulation there is located in the central Gulf, with winds coming onshore upwards to 50 and 60 knots at 3,000 feet. That'll be turning from south to southwest, so there could be some low-level wind shear as well there. And a weak circulation remaining from the previous low there south of Nunavik Island off of the southwest coast. And the greatest threat of turbulence then on Saturday will be across areas of the Gulf extending up into the Panhandle, surface to 5,000 feet. As I mentioned, could even be a little low-level wind shear there as a frontal boundary lifts its way slowly northeastward. Also a broad area of surface to 5,000 foot turbulence across areas of the north along the south side of the Brooks Range and North Slope, as well as extending out into the eastern Aleutians and back through the central Aleutians.
Why is plastic marine debris so common? We know there's trash in the ocean. Unfortunately, a lot of it is plastic. We find plastic everywhere, from the ocean floor to surface. The plastics are all shapes and sizes and all different types. We find plastics on beaches, and also inside animals' stomachs or wrapped around their bodies. That's bad news for our ocean and the animals that live in it and near it. It's also bad news for us. A recent study from the University of Georgia estimated that 8 million metric tons of plastic trash enters the ocean every year. That's like putting 5 bags filled with plastic on every foot of coastline in the world. That's a lot of plastic in the ocean, and it's there because, well, we put it there. The 5 most common items found during the International Coastal Cleanup are plastic cigarette butts, food wrappers, plastic beverage bottles, plastic bottle caps, and plastic straws and drink stirrers. Notice anything in common with those? It's a lot of single-use, disposable plastic. It goes without saying, we produce too much waste. That waste ends up in the ocean when we litter or don't recycle. Plastic is an important part of our modern lives. We use it for a lot of good things. But we need to take responsibility for how much we use every day and where it goes when we're done with it. The 3 R's can help, and it's up to every single one of us to practice them. Reduce your use of disposable plastic. That's anything you use once and throw away. Just use less. Reuse disposable plastics when possible. A plastic bottle makes a great coin piggy bank or watering can. The possibilities are endless. Recycle anything that can be recycled so it stays out of landfills, where trash can blow away. Ocean plastic is a huge problem that's only going to get worse. Unless we change our ways, we can do better for the ocean and for us. Why is plastic marine debris so common? We know there's trash in the ocean. Unfortunately, a lot of it is plastic. We find plastic everywhere, from the ocean floor to surface. The plastics are all shapes and sizes and all different types. We find plastics on beaches, and also inside animals' stomachs or wrapped around their bodies. That's bad news for our ocean and the animals that live in it and near it. It's also bad news for us. A recent study from the University of Georgia estimated that 8 million metric tons of plastic trash enters the ocean every year. That's like putting 5 bags filled with plastic on every foot of coastline in the world. That's a lot of plastic in the ocean, and it's there because, well, we put it there. The 5 most common items found during the International Coastal Cleanup are plastic cigarette butts, food wrappers, plastic beverage bottles, plastic bottle caps, and plastic straws and drink stirrers. Notice anything in common with those? It's a lot of single-use, disposable plastic. It goes without saying, we produce too much waste. That waste ends up in the ocean when we litter or don't recycle. Plastic is an important part of our modern lives. We use it for a lot of good things. But we need to take responsibility for how much we use every day and where it goes when we're done with it. The 3 R's can help, and it's up to every single one of us to practice them. Reduce your use of disposable plastic. That's anything you use once and throw away. Just use less. Reuse disposable plastics when possible. A plastic bottle makes a great coin piggy bank or watering can. The possibilities are endless. Recycle anything that can be recycled so it stays out of landfills, where trash can blow away. Ocean plastic is a huge problem that's only going to get worse. Unless we change our ways, we can do better for the ocean and for us.
What is the Great Pacific Garbage Patch? Well, first, let's talk about what it's not. It's not a floating island of trash like a garbage dump or a landfill. It's also not the only patch. They exist all throughout the ocean, and the Pacific Garbage Patch just happens to be the most famous. Garbage patches are large areas of marine debris concentration that are formed by rotating ocean currents called gyres, kind of like big whirlpools that suck things in. A garbage patch is made up of tiny plastic pieces called microplastics that are less than 5 millimeters long. It's more like pepper flakes swirling in a soup than something you can skim off the surface. You might come across some larger items like plastic bottles, but it's possible to sail through a garbage patch and not see anything. And they're a big problem for the ocean and us. People often ask why we can't just scoop up all the marine debris in the ocean. And the answer is, unfortunately, it's just not that simple. The first challenge is the sheer size of these garbage patches. They're huge. They're constantly moving with ocean currents. And there's debris from the ocean surface all the way down to the sea floor. Not to mention all the marine life we would disrupt if we tried to just scoop up debris. So what can we do? Well, the ultimate solution is prevention. And we need to keep that as our highest priority. We can reduce, reuse, and recycle to keep trash out of the ocean in the first place. And we can participate in things like shoreline cleanups. It's a lot easier to deal with debris before it gets to the ocean. Because until we stop marine debris at the source, we'll just be cleaning it up forever.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back, and let's start with looking at the sea ice edge. Throughout the southwest coast, we've seen ice beginning to break up and retreat more so. Even though temperatures are not especially mild, they've been actually a little cooler. We'll continue to see, though, some sort of northerly or easterly component to the wind, and the ice will continue to just kind of hang around St. Paul Island here through the weekend. Further north, we have been able to see some openings in the ice. There have been very persistent east winds along the northwest coast. The Polinias have opened up there, especially between Point Lay through Wainwright and Utqiagvik. But we do expect the winds to maybe not be quite as strong there along the northwest coast, though still holding up there off of Cape Lisburne and Point Hope, upwards around 30 knots this weekend. In the meantime, looking at the southwest panhandle, inner channels, we'll see some winds gusting upwards to 40 knots as a storm force frontal system works its way into the panhandle for Saturday. Waves could be as high as 10, 11 feet there at the entrance of Dixon entrance, and 3 feet up there on the north end, Lynn Canal. And then out across the outer coastal areas, we're seeing winds southeast to east, 35-knot gales. Waves running 14 to 17 feet. Sunday, winds will come down a bit. Still some gusts to 35 knots in the inner channels around Petersburg, with waves 4 feet south toward Ketchikan and Metlakatla. Southerly winds, 3-foot waves there up through Lynn Canal, and then throughout the Gulf coastal waters, look for south winds at 30 knots, Craig through Gustavus, turning more easterly, Yakutat westward, and waves running right around 18 to 19 feet. Throughout the northwest portion of the Gulf, winds on Saturday will generally be out of the east-northeast around 20 knots or so. Prince William Sound, 4-foot waves, 8-foot waves off the Kenai. Northeast-east winds 20 knots with 6-foot waves there at the lower portion of Cook Inlet. Sunday, winds will turn more northerly, especially across Prince William Sound, Cook Inlet down off the Kenai. 10 to 15 knots, waves running 3 or 4 feet. And then looking at Kodiak Island for Saturday, winds slipping, going from east, a little more variable, 10 to 15 knots. Same thing over around Bristol Bay, but turning, there's going to be a weak area of low pressure working its way westward through the region, and winds will turn a little more northwest to westerly, 25 to 30 knots as you get out toward the end of the Alaska Peninsula. And then on Sunday, winds will generally be out of the northwest across Kodiak Island, 15 to as high as 25 knots once you get into the open waters of the Gulf. And then generally from the west-southwest, as you extend out along the Alaska Peninsula, as high as 25 to 30 knots, especially on the Pacific side of the peninsula. And then across the Aleutian chain, generally westerly winds around 25 knots, eastern Aleutians, 15 knots or so mid-Aleutians toward Nikolsky and Atka, then picking back up to 30-knot westerly winds, especially Adak westward. And Sunday, there'll be a core of stronger winds passing on the Pacific side, just a little south. So we'll see 35-knot gales, especially south of Nikolsky, Atka, and Adak. Otherwise, 25 to 30-knot westerly winds on the Bering side. Waves highest maybe around 15 to 18 feet on the North Pacific side. Across the west and southwest coast, ice is in place. It's going to continue to sit there. The edge, though, will slowly melt and shift a bit. But winds will continue with a northeasterly component, strongest coming out of Norton Sound, 25 knots. And by Sunday, a little more northerly component to the wind, especially as you get down south of St. Lawrence through Nunavik Islands and St. Matthew. And as we look along the Arctic coast, wind coming down there a bit, northeasterly winds 15 to 20 knots. Still holding up, though, 30 to as high as 35 knots as you get down there around Cape Lisburne and Point Hope. And then northeasterly 20 knots through the Bering Strait and north side of St. Lawrence. For Sunday, winds will be northeasterly around 20 knots throughout the the northern Arctic coast. And then the northwest coast there, Point Hope and Cape Lisburne could see northeasterly gales to 40 knots, so that could cause additional areas of blowing snow there through the weekend. As far as tonight, the main low will be out in the lower, entering the central Gulf out of the North Pacific. Low weakening as it continues to work its way westward of the Alaska Peninsula. And then during the day Saturday, we'll have low pressure there in the central Gulf, going to fling a gale force occluded front that'll bring more moderate rains, especially to the southern half of the Panhandle. And Sunday, just generally low pressure lagging not only across the Gulf but back along the southwest coast.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.